Good afternoon, awesome fourth graders. Okay, I want to show you first off how to find your writing journal, okay? Because I deleted old um, classrooms, and so your writing notebook is still with you, even though it's not in Google Classroom, because you may want to keep all your notes there, okay? First off, go to your drive and go to search and type in writing journal. If I type in writing journal, you'll see, ta-da, these are all the ones that I've looked at because I've added pages to yours, okay? So I'm opening up my sample, I'm opening up mine, okay? So I'm gonna open it up and there's a page in yours called quotation marks. I have put it right here. Let me go back over here. And you can simply just use a notebook if you like to. That's up to you. I just thought I'd show you how to get back into this if you want to use it. Writing journal, grammar fun, quotation marks. There is a page there for you, okay? Um, to, to start typing, I want to show you there's three ways to use quotation marks. Quotation marks are like hugs for exact words, okay? That's so important to know. They're the hugs that go around words. You're going to hit the shift down and hit right next to the semicolon, the apostrophe, one way and the other way, okay? And then that's how you hug around the words, the exact words it said, okay? The first time you use it is when it's at, oh, let me go over, sorry. This up a little bit. Nope, can't see it. Okay. Nope, sorry. I'm doing something wrong here. First time you use it is when it's at the beginning of a phrase. So I'm going to use a quotes because it's the exact words. How are you? Question mark, quotation marks, asked Joe. Okay? Notice I have quotation marks around everything that was said, and there's a question mark inside the quotation marks. Asked Joe is part of my sentence still. That's why there's a period at the end, but it's a small a. I'm going to enter now because I want to show you if I have a statement, I'm going to go, I am fine, comma, quotation mark, answered, oops, Mike. Okay? So notice on this time, it's at the beginning, but it's not a question mark. So I'm going to use a comma, okay, because I'm in the middle of a sentence. My sentence doesn't end until the period, okay? When the quotation marks are at the beginning, it's very odd that you use a punctuation mark other than a comma. There's only two exceptions. I'm going to say, oops, wow, exclamation point, um, yelled Joe. Okay, this conversation went back and forth between Joe and Mike. Okay, and so you you always put in quotation marks exactly what was being said. At the beginning, you use a comma for everything unless it's a question or an exclamation. Okay? The next thing is use it at the end of a sentence. So Joe asked, comma, set it apart, how, oops, capital, how are you? There we go. So I have who's doing the talking, set apart by a question mark. And then how are you? Question mark. It's in quotation marks. Notice the punctuations inside the quotation marks. Okay, let's do another one. Mike answered, comma, space, quotation marks. Oops, sorry, my thing's jumping around. I am fine, period, quotation marks. Notice it does not matter what my punctuation is at the end. Because my quote's at the end, everything goes inside the quotation marks, but I need to have a final punctuation because that's my entire sentence. Mike answered, I am fine. So that's my sentence. Okay, now let's do one more. What if it's an exclamation point? Same thing. Joe yelled, quotation mark, space, quotation mark, wow, exclamation point, quotation marks. Everything's inside those quotations. Okay? So that's the second way you use quotation marks. First one, if it's at the beginning of a sentence, you always use a comma inside your quotation marks unless it's a question or an exclamation. And then it's a smaller lowercase who's doing the talking and what they said, yelled, answered, or asked. If it's at the end, at the beginning you have who's doing the talking, asked, answered, yelled. There's a comma after that, always a comma. Quotation marks, the first word is capitalized inside your quotes. Your punctuation's inside your quotation marks each time, okay? Now the third time is if it's split up in the sentence. And so we're going to have Joe starting to talk. I am so glad, comma, quotation mark, said Joe, comma, oops, that you are okay. Okay, sorry, message. Okay, so I have it in the middle. Joe is interrupting his speech. So Joe said, I am so glad that you are okay. But I'm going to say, I am glad, said Joe, that you are okay. It allows me to kind of set it aside to give some emphasis. Notice the punctuation that we use. The first part, I am so glad, it's not the end of the sentence, so it's a comma, quotation marks around that part. Said Joe, that's my who's doing the talking again, comma, set apart again. The last part, my quotation marks, that you are okay. My punctuation's inside my quotation marks. Okay, let's do one more. How about Mike is going to do some talking. Okay, you are my, comma, quotation marks, answered Mike, comma, quotation marks, my best friend, period, quotation marks. So Mike is interrupting his speech. You are my friend, answered Mike, my best friend. Oh, I don't need the my twice in there, do I? No, I don't. You are my, answered Mike, best friend. There we go. That sounds better. Sorry, guys. So here I have my statement is interrupted. You are my best friend by the answered Mike. My first half of my statement, it's not done, so I put a comma. It's kind of like I'm pausing, but quotes around that piece. Answered Mike, my person who's talking is set apart with my comma. My second half of what he's saying, quotation marks around that with the punctuation inside. Okay, so that's the basics of quotation marks. Now, if you go to classwork, you have 3 worksheets. One of them is when they're all at the beginning. One of them all at the end. The last one is if it's split in the middle. So I really want you to start with the beginning because I think that would be the easiest, and then do at the end. And then split is, I think, a little trickier. Okay, so good luck. Have fun.